Hey everyone, if you've ever stared at a price tag and thought, how on earth did they come up with that number? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today in this explainer, we're going to solve the fascinating mysteries behind why things cost what they do. We are unpacking the actual mechanics of the market, exploring the invisible machinery that basically dictates our daily transactions. We'll be using some incredibly insightful concepts from our source material to decode this exact phenomenon, which we're calling the price puzzle.
Just look at a bustling market for a second. Every single transaction happening out there, every exchange of coins for fruit, every intense haggling conversation, it's all being driven by invisible, powerful economic forces. I mean, it might just look like pure chaos with people buying and selling left and right, but right beneath the surface of this vibrant scene, there is a beautifully structured system of cause and effect. Prices do not just happen randomly. They are constant, real-time reactions to our behavior, to what we want, how much is actually available, the changing seasons, and current trends.
Seriously, have you ever wondered why a flight ticket literally triples in price overnight? Or why a standard hotel room suddenly spikes to 25,000 rupees on New Year's Eve? Think about it. It's the exact same seat on the plane, the exact same bed in the hotel. Yet, the price can swing wildly depending on the exact second you click book. During a normal weekend, that hotel might be $8,000, but on a holiday, skyrocketed. And if a massive group tour cancels at the last minute, that same hotel might slash its rate by 40% overnight just to get people in the door. Prices are dynamic, living things that are constantly reacting to their environment.
So here is how we're going to solve this price puzzle together today. We'll start with the everyday price puzzle, then we'll decode consumer demand, understand market supply, see what happens when the two reach market equilibrium, and finally, look at the government's role in all of this.
All right, let's jump right into part one, the everyday price puzzle.
Now, what's really interesting is that these everyday price changes we see aren't random at all. They are real-time reactions to availability. Think about mangoes. When mango season first approaches, scarcity drives those prices sky high. Everyone wants them, but there just aren't that many yet. But mid-season, the market is flooded, and the price absolutely plummets. The exact same logic applies to your daily vegetables being way pricier in the fresh morning compared to the wilting evening, or even retail shops announcing massive, magical discounts just to clear out last season's stock. It is a delicate, continuous dance of market forces.
To really crack this puzzle, we first need to look at it from our perspective as buyers. Let's decode consumer demand.
Now, here's a crucial point. Demand isn't just wanting something, it is your willingness combined with your actual purchasing power. You might desperately want a luxury sports car, but if you don't have the cash for it, that desire doesn't actually count as market demand. And this brings us to the essence of the law of demand, which is an inverse relationship. When the price of an item falls, we naturally want to buy way more of it. When the price rises, we buy less. Simple, right?
Let's look at Shrivali here buying mangoes. At 150 rupees, she might buy just 1 single kilogram. But watch what happens when the price drops to 50 rupees. She buys 3. The real driver behind this is something called diminishing marginal utility. Basically, that first mango is highly valued. It tastes absolutely delicious. But by the time she's eating her third or fourth, the satisfaction or utility drops off a bit. Because that extra utility drops, her willingness to pay for more mangoes drops with it, unless the price gets cheaper to match.
But wait, price isn't the only factor dictating what we want. The price of related goods matters profoundly. If coffee suddenly becomes wildly expensive, people don't just stop needing caffeine in the morning, right? They just switch over to tea. That drives up the demand for tea, even if the price of tea never changed at all. That's a substitute good. Then we have complementary goods. Imagine a new blockbuster video game console drops its price. Demand for the console skyrockets, and consequently, the demand for the video games that go with it will also surge. Our buying choices are just incredibly interconnected.
Okay, now that we understand the buyer, let's flip the script. Section 3, Understanding Market Supply.
For the sellers out there, the logic is entirely reversed compared to us buyers. As the price of a product increases, sellers are willing to supply more of it simply because it brings in higher profit. This is the law of supply. It's a direct relationship, not an inverse one. If the market is willing to pay top dollar for a product, current producers are going to work overtime to make more of it to maximize their earnings, and new businesses will rush into the market just to get a piece of the action. Higher prices equal higher incentives to produce.
You can literally see this adding up when we look across multiple sellers. The impact is massive. At a low price of 50 rupees, the total market supply might be just 6 kilograms. But let that price climb up to 150 rupees, market supply triples to 18 kilograms. The sheer potential for profit dictates the output. Every single seller steps up their production because the financial reward has expanded so dramatically.
But producers, they are strategic. They have to constantly look out at the horizon, analyzing all sorts of external factors that could impact their ability to produce and their bottom line. Today's price tag is really just one piece of the seller's puzzle.
Supply can actually shift based on quite a few crucial variables. Take the number of competitors. If 10 new smartphone brands enter the market tomorrow, the sheer supply of phones goes up, which usually drives prices down for us. Then there's technology. Amazing upgrades like drip irrigation or high-tech weather sensors can drastically reduce farming costs, leading to way more crops being supplied. And finally, future expectations play a huge role. If a potato wholesaler expects prices to absolutely skyrocket during an upcoming festival, you better believe they will intentionally hold back their supply today, put it in cold storage, and just wait to sell it later for a much higher profit.
So what happens when buyers and sellers actually meet? That brings us to Section 4, Market Equilibrium.
Market equilibrium is that perfect, precise point in negotiation where what buyers are willing to pay completely matches what sellers are willing to accept. At this magical intersection, there is zero pressure for prices to change because the market is completely cleared out. Everyone who wants to buy at that price gets the product, and every seller who wants to sell at that price moves their inventory. There's no annoying shortage, and there's no wasteful surplus.
Let's crunch the numbers really quick. When the price is too low, say 40 rupees, buyers want a massive 38 kilograms, but sellers are only offering 6. That creates a massive shortage, which naturally bids the price up. Now jump to 150 rupees. A huge surplus forces sellers to drop their prices just to get rid of the inventory sitting in their warehouses. But right at exactly 100 rupees, demand perfectly matches the 12 kilograms supplied. Boom, the puzzle solves itself.
Of course, we all know the real world is messy, and equilibrium is always a moving target. It is incredibly dynamic, just like we saw with the massive, sudden shifts in the price of face masks during the COVID-19 pandemic. Think back. Before 2020, masks were super cheap, and equilibrium was stable. Then, the pandemic hit. Demand surged literally overnight. Supply couldn't even come close to keeping up, creating a terrifying shortage, and prices absolutely spiked. But over the next year, opportunistic suppliers adjusted. They opened new factories, ramped up production to meet this new demand, and that eventually brought prices back down. Post-pandemic, demand plummeted, and the market slowly found its way back to a normal, low-price equilibrium. The market is always adjusting.
Finally, let's talk about what happens when things aren't quite fair. Section 5, the government's role.
Because, let's be honest, a pure free market isn't always fair to everyone. If essential goods, like life-saving medicines, become prohibitively expensive because of high demand, a completely free market just allocates them to whoever has the most money. Because this fails to protect social welfare, governments have to step in. They intervene to ensure equity and protect vulnerable populations from being priced out of absolute necessities to live.
The government usually steps in through two specific types of regulations. They might implement a price ceiling, which is a legal maximum price set for essentials. For instance, capping the price of critical vaccines or medicines to ensure they actually remain accessible to everyone during a crisis. On the other end of the spectrum, the government can implement a price floor, which is a minimum limit. The most common example we all know is the minimum wage. This prevents the market from driving wages down to poverty levels, ensuring workers are fairly compensated for their labor and kept safe from exploitation.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this explainer today, haven't we? From the daily fluctuations of your morning mango to massive global supply chain shocks. Understanding these invisible forces means you aren't just looking at numbers on a tag anymore, you are decoding the very pulse of human behavior. So, the next time you're at the store and see a wild price spike, ask yourself, is the market just desperately searching for its new balance? Or is there another invisible hand pulling the strings?